Welcome back to Perform 72. Today we have a young professional with us, Meva Schmit. She's out tolling on the LPGA in China. She's working with us on Perform 72. But she's a US college golfer, a lot of experience, great player. And today we're going to chat to her about her first year on tour and how she's working with us to try and make it a little bit more efficient and be a bit more successful. Welcome, Meva. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
How's life on the Chinese LPGA? Good?
It's going. Move.
I think the beauty of us, you and I, having this conversation today is that you're going to help lots of other young pros that are going out into the big bad world of tour golf to really understand some of the challenges that you're going through that you and I have spoken about. But let's get started by you telling us a little bit about your background. So where you're from, how you got introduced to golf, and how you ended up in US college golf, and maybe even for people listening, how you got there, because I think that's a big area for junior golfers, especially in Indonesia, that they're not quite sure about. So talk us through a few things there.
Mm-hmm. So I am from Bali, Indonesia, So I grew up here my whole life, and I started playing golf at around 3.5, 4 years old. Went to the driving range when my dad had like little plastic golf clubs, and then eventually a full set of irons, and picked it up as a hobby. And I think at 13, 14 years old, I was like, I think I can go to college for this. So that became my main goal for junior golf. And when I was, I think, 17, 18, that's when I started getting like offers from college. And yeah, went to school for 5 years in the US.
Brilliant. And I've got lots of questions around that already. What college did you go to?
So I did my bachelor's. I did 4 years in Kennesaw State University. And then I transferred for my 5th year due to COVID at Santa Clara University in California.
Brilliant. So you got plenty of experience in the US college system and some early competitive golf as well, I would imagine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. So tell us a little bit about the process of getting into college. I get that asked all the time as a coach. How do I get my son, daughter into college? Now, you said I started getting lots of offers. What do you have to do to get offers? Tell me how that process works.
Well, during that time, I think it was like 14 years old, I got into the national team in Indonesia, and I was exposed to more international events. So I played like the Queen Circuit Cup. I played, um, oh, I don't remember what it was, but it's like a really big Asian event.
Yeah.
And then I also the British Girls Am when I was like 16. So I was exposed to more international level events, and
Yeah.
that's when college coaches started knowing my name. And also that time, like Wagger was like a big deal. So I got Wagger down to like 600. And that's when like colleges was like, oh, like, where is this girl from? And that's what happened.
Yeah. And it's there's some other criteria that the colleges are looking for. So you must have played pretty well in those tournaments. It's not just you turning up for them. So what sort of, parents often ask me, what average score do I need to be shooting at 14, 15, 16 in order for my, for my junior to be getting offers? Can you remember what sort of scores you were shooting in those days?
Well, I guess the scene has evolved. So a lot of the kids are playing lower scores.
Yeah.
But during that time, I was playing about par, a little
Yeah.
under, a little over, nothing like over 80 in
Yeah.
those big events,
Yeah.
which helped a lot because that's when you want to perform and that looks good in your resume. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you said quite rightly that it's evolved. But obviously there are lots of colleges. So it depends which college you're looking at. I think there's about 2,500 colleges in the US that do pick players up. There's probably a small number of hundreds that are looking for the more elite players, but the rest of them do have golf programs, even if they're not playing competitive golf. So it has evolved, but really a young lady, 16, 17, 18, wants to be shooting 76 and below, and probably one of the guys needs to be shooting level par and less, don't they? That's sort of where they need to be, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So you were in that sort of area, weren't you? So tell us a little bit about Pon. You recently went to the Indonesian Games. It's a bit like, for everybody else who doesn't know the Indonesian Games, it's a bit like the Indonesian Olympics, where a whole range of different sports get together and play for medals. How did you get on there? You had a good tour, didn't you?
Yeah. So it's a big deal for
Mm.
the provinces.
Yeah.
And I think Bali hasn't won a medal since a very long time. So I was like, that's the goal. Actually, like Bali's goal was to win 2 gold medals,
Yeah.
which possibly it's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
But we got there, did my job,
Yeah.
2 medals, 1 gold, 1 bronze. So I think I did my job pretty well. Those because it was 7 days of straight competition. It was 3 days of individual, 2 days of the foursome with a woman, and then the mixed foursome with like a guy.
Yeah.
So it was just seven, like playing for 7 days straight, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
I think kids were tired because my teammates were all like younger than me.
Yeah.
So I think we were all tired, and I was just happy. Like once it was over, it was like a breath of fresh air because I'm like, okay, I did what I had to do, secured it. Now I can go on holiday.
But the wonderful thing about that is once you've done something for your nation, within the nation, and you've been rewarded and recognised for that, then that's something you can refer to for life. I mean, whenever I meet Indonesian golfers or Indonesian sportsmen, they say this is a Pon champion, and that can go on for the next 20 years, can't it? People referring to that achievement. So it's a serious achievement in Indonesia, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So it's I've known you for a while. I mean, the last thing I was going to say on Pon is that Pon is actually for adults, I believe. I don't think it's necessarily a junior program, even though youngsters get into certain areas. And I know Bali sent a very young team because I was working with them for a while. I think they were 14, 13, 14, may have even been a 12-year-old. Was there a 12-year-old? Or was she 13 by the time she got there? Yeah. So, but it was a young team, so it was a great achievement, right? So, why you were led into golf by your family? Is that how you got into it?
Yeah, my dad, I mean, he was an avid golfer. Not great, but
Mm.
like can play 79 one time.
Yeah.
Very, um, but yeah, he took me into golfing, and he used to like play a lot in Handara
Yeah.
back in the day. And I used to just like hang out with him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was in Handara's up in the mountains in the northern side. It's a beautiful golf course up there, isn't it? So you've moved on. You're now working with Laurie Montague in Jakarta. You're going through his program in the
Mhm.
National Centre there, and he's very innovative. We've done a couple of podcasts with Laurie already about what he does there. So tell us a little bit about life as a pro golfer now. How many hours do you have to put in? What do you do? How do you make decisions about what you work on? How are you really sort of grinding to get better? Because that's what we're doing, isn't it? We're spending every day trying to eke a little bit more out of something, can't we? Tell us a little bit about the process.
So like my week, since I live by the golf course, I can just go whenever I want, how long I want, which is awesome because it's like golf center. Um, there's everything I need. There is the greens, the slopes, the bunkers, like everything I need is there. So I am very lucky to be able to work there with Lori at NGI. But yeah, like I am very focused on my short game and my putting. That's the one thing that I had to improve for going into professional golf, because at the end of the day, I need to make putts to make
Yeah.
money. So
Mm.
that's that. But I work on my short game a lot, like a lot, and my putting too. I spend about 3 hours a day when it comes to like my short game and my putting. And I added targeting practice with my long game, which we are implementing more now, just because I have a little bit of an injury with my elbow and I don't want to inflame it more. So I have to be smart about the way I train with my long game. The course about once a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there's the first important thing. I think avoiding injury when you're on tour is really important, isn't it? So listening to your body, managing those sorts of things. But you and I are also doing some data analysis together. It's early days with Perform 72, but you are adding your scores in and adding your details. You're actually using the Arcos app, which gives us a few problems in China sometimes. But in the app, we have the option to load our scores manually as well. So you're dropping that data in, and whilst you're working on your short game and building the skills, which we'll come back to, we have noticed a couple of other things, haven't we? We noticed that maybe your greens in regulation aren't where they need to be. So is that helping, having that data coming through and giving you some insight as to those areas? That's giving you some focus.
It's insightful to know, but it's not something I did not know because I am the one experiencing it on the
Yeah.
golf course. So like I know that to get better, and I know that it's not there yet.
Mm.
And that's okay because I am learning how to practice better when it comes to my long game. Since I'm doing a very good job with my short game, seeing my percentage of up and downs is has been pretty good this past like few months on tour. So that's there. And I know that once we're hitting more greens, I think that it will just be easier to score.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think one important evolution that people need to understand is that, one of the things when we're practicing, is we're often practicing and playing. Lots of people are often saying to me, how do I compare against strokes gained, for example, right? The problem with comparing against a national or an international reference like strokes gained is that it doesn't necessarily give you the insight as to your individual performance and your individual progress. So we like, and Laurie and I both like, you to measure yourself against yourself. That's true, isn't it? So we're trying to take what you did last week and improve it. And I think, tell us a little bit about the drills you do. I know you knock out 100 putts, 100 chips from different locations. Tell us something about the detail of those drills.
Yeah, so the two drills that I do when it comes to my short game and my putting, we have two. We have the SG70, which is short game 70, and then we have a putting one, which is Make Putt 100. So essentially, SG70 is just 70 shots of up and downs, and then MP 100 is 100 putts. Um, so during SG70, it's about like 7 different shots and 10 cycles. And you just keep doing it. And it's a grind.
Mm.
And that I love about it, it's like a game. It gets me going because it's like, oh, I have to make this par, to shoot a good score.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, and it takes a lot out of you mentally, because you have to be like focused. Since it
Mm.
is 7 shots, it takes about 2.5 hours just work,
Yep.
just work. So it takes a while. You need to be hydrated, you need to be eating, you need to be like dialed in to finish the drill. And I do that about 3 to 4 times a week. So with that amount of short game, I can definitely see the translation on the golf course. which is helping so much. And Make Putt 100, MP 100 is just 100 putts. And we have a short course, which is, I think, like everything under 3 meters. And then we have a random course, which is like from 1 meter to all the way to like 20 meters.
Yeah.
And the goal is to make it.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I love to do because it simulates what I have on the golf course, and it does a really good job. Because whenever I'm playing in China, playing an event, the short game that I do really helps me because I never have those super difficult shots when I'm on tour, you know? So really like doing the hard stuff, doing the hard shots when I'm on the golf course and let's say I have it, I'm like, I've seen this so many times. I'm the things that I pull during events in China, I was shocked. I was like, oh, kid.
And I think you've just covered so many things in that response, you know. So one of them is expectation setting. One of them is not measuring yourself against other people. Right? You're now measuring yourself against yourself, so that when you get out there, the level that you've developed isn't just to the level that you need, it's beyond the level that you need, isn't it? And therefore the expectation is everything's actually a little easier than I ever thought it would be. So that puts you in a comfortable situation mentally. So there are so many levels there. And I think what you're talking about in those drills is you introduce things like adversity, stress, pressure, and then you have to consider those other things for 2.5 hours: hydration, nutrition, blood sugar levels. All of those things are important to you, and so you're training all of those things. So it's a beautiful thing to do. And now we're just adding those into Perform 72 into the app for you, so that you can create the standard ones, i.e. the inside 3 feet, and you can also do the random ones and start to get your scores over time. Because I think what happens is you know, as things change, you don't know how much they change. They may be changing 1 or 2%. If we do this for a year, wow, we may have changed 30% in this particular area. So as we add them to the app, I think it will become even more compelling for us, which is great. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the consolidation process that we're trying to help you go through is not only doing your data analysis and benchmarking, but you know, we've talked also about fitness. Tell me a little bit about your fitness and why that's important to you.
Okay. Well, one, I love working out and it gives me something to do because if not, I'm going to be very bored just golfing.
Yeah.
So yeah, gotta keep up that, you know. But I work out about 3 to 4 times a week, depending on the schedule of what my week looks like, and also being smart with, you know, am I traveling next week? Am I off? Like what am I doing in this time period? So making sure that me and my trainer understand that, hey, like I'm leaving next week. Let's not throw some weights around. Like let's be smart about this because we also don't want to get any injuries. I mean, I love lifting. I love to lift heavy, but I need to also be smart to not hurt myself before leaving for an event. So
Yeah. But I think again, you know, the 3 or 4 times a week, the periodization associated with it. So making sure that you're doing it at the right times, that you're in the right phase. I know you work a lot with Laurie with those sorts of things. So based on your feedback and based on working with Laurie, we're also adding your phases into our software, which has been a real great piece of feedback for us, you know, to say when should you be lifting, when should you be lifting heavy, how quickly are you recovering, and those sorts of things. That's been super insightful for us. I think the other thing I just wanted to point out there is that obviously we're adding your swing coach, your practice coach, that's Laurie, but we're also bringing your fitness coach into the process as well, so they can both see each other's information. that's going to help, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really going to help you having that insight. Um, we've you and I have also talked about monitoring your health variables, your important statistics. So you wear an Apple Watch, I believe, is that right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So Apple Watch gives us lots of data around your recovery, your sleep, and those sorts of things. So all of that's coming in. So tell us a little bit about the Chinese LPGA. You've gone out there um, in the same way that you've made your practice really hard. You've chosen the toughest tour, don't you think, to get started?
You know, I I didn't think it was gonna be tough like this.
Yeah,
I thought the I think the tour is really like evolving and just getting better. And the scores from last year, the same events from last year, they're not the same scores as this year. So
yeah,
when I came in, I had expectations of where the cut was going to be, and it
mm,
was just not the same numbers. And
yeah,
it's not like I don't regret playing the Q school and getting through Q school and playing China, because I think it's such a great learning curve to
yeah,
get like kicked around for and like one better. I think that is just part of the process, even though like the process, she's tough, but I think it's character development.
yeah,
Um, and also the one thing about China is we're playing so many different courses, and so many of these courses, they all are different with different elements, so learning the different type of grass, and there are grass that I've never really played on before when I was in Indonesia.
yeah,
Like it's a blessing because I'm learning that tight lies, they play a little differently. So
yeah,
it's it's been difficult, but I think that it's a good learning process for me.
yeah. I think, you've shared with me as well that the environment, the language, the communication barriers, the preparing for the tournaments, they're all challenges as well. Tell us a little bit more about those.
Well, I think also I do not speak the language, so
Mm,
it has been really hard for me to
mm,
communicate my way around China. Let's just say that. So, you know what? My Google Translate, she's awesome. So,
yeah,
um, that's been a help, but it was really tough like the first few times going there because I didn't know what to expect. I don't know like what if my Uber driver
mm,
doesn't pick me up? Like, what do I do? Like, so it's just like learning those things, and also like learning what to order to eat to make sure I'm not eating something I'm not supposed to eat.
yeah,
Um, so I think that's just part of it. And I think like this is just character development, like I'm gonna be tough over there.
yeah. And I think it develops such a beautiful growth mindset, doesn't it? It's just another challenge we got to knock down, isn't it?
Hmm.
Every time you go out there, there's just something else that you've got to figure out and drive on. So I think the start for you has been an eye opener. I think the scoring, as you say, has been a challenge. The environmental differences, but it sounds to me as if it's making you stronger. Would you agree? Tell us a little bit about maybe some of the areas it's made you stronger.
Um, hmm. You know what? I know a few words in Mandarin, so we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn. I promise you, by December, I'm going to know left, right, 1 to 10. Watch, watch. Um, Other than that, I think mentally, like just being just being present and not, like crashing out is a number one thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, Managing expectations, I think that's the biggest one for me because I came in thinking it was going to be this, but it's not this at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
And I think I'm doing a job at just like handling myself in these situations and getting kind of the hang of, like once I get to the airport, immigration, luggage, go to the Uber, blah, 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 get to the hotel. Like, I'm just doing a better job at that. I used to be like super like frazzled, like, oh my God, like once I land, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like, I need to go to the immigration. But now, like, cut it down, like fill out the form, bring your pen in your little bag, so I can be prepared, get through immigration, get your luggage, and then I know where to get like the taxi now, like Uber, because they have like a separate station, you know. So yeah, just that. And just having better like practice rounds, learning actually like what works best for me.
yeah,
So I used for Q school, I did 18-18, and then I played 4 days of golf, which was a lot of golf,
mm,
honestly. And I did what I had to do because I was like, oh, I need to play 36 before a 72 hole like event. Um, but then after that, I did 18-9, and then I did like a 9-9, and I like 9-9 the most. I think
yeah,
that is the most effective for me. But I also want to try like just 18 and then go straight into the tournament. So I think this year is about finding my rhythm, finding, what works best for me. Because I know some players just drive, for 18 hole and then straight to the event. Some girls come in, 4 days before. So, figuring that out.
yeah. And I think it's a balance. I caddied a lot of last season on the Ladies European Tour. Um, the picture behind me today is your favourite course, which is why I put it up there. That's Evian in on the Swiss-French border, which I've just come back from. So we just played the French Open there. Um, I'm off to the Belgium Open this weekend, and certainly the girls that I've been caddying for, they like the 9-9, saves their energy. But you've got to do the right things during those 9-9s because we have generally four different tee positions. Often they're on the same tee, but they've moved forwards. They'll always push a par five forwards, a risk reward somewhere. So you've got to figure that one out. So they'll throw a little trick in there somewhere. And then obviously we get four different pin positions. Usually, if it's a 4-day tournament, on the LET there's lots of 3-day tournaments. So you can squeeze those into the 9-9s as long as you're starting to get a feel for them, aren't you? And you do the fundamentals right. So
Yeah.
it's interesting you say 9-9 because most of the girls I caddy for say 9-9 is the way to go. But obviously you do the 9, but you come back and do 4 hours on the range as well. It isn't just 9 and home, is it? So
No.
cool. So we've covered so many things. Your physical stuff, eating properly, getting through the airports, being prepared, having a growth mindset. We've covered that beautifully. Um, Comparing yourself against yourself so that your game is better than others, not just baselined against others. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get out and find advantage here, aren't we? So all of those things are really important. So mentally, are you meditating? Are you chilling out and finding a quiet time that allows you to find the same quiet place on the course? How does that work? Tell us a little bit about how you find the quiet place on the course.
Well, when I'm on the course, when you're in the flow, you're not thinking much, right?
Mm.
And that's what I always strive for. But sometimes, like, the thoughts, they kind of pop up, and that's just part of it. So I remember that when I was in the US, we had like a sports psych, and she was like, okay, like find 5 things you see and like name them all, 4 things you feel, blah, 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 blah. So those little like cues help me like come back
Yep.
when, I'm thinking a little bit too much on
Mm.
not the right thing. So that's been helpful. But other than that, I also do box breathing before playing. So usually, like, let's say the car ride to the golf course, I would spend like however long that car ride is, I will do my breathing there.
Yeah.
Um, but that just kind of like balances me out and just like not think about anything except my breathing,
Yeah.
which is really nice. And, my pre shot routine, make sure I take a big inhale and a big exhale.
Yeah.
And I implemented that actually my last event, and it's all like it's good. Like I was like, oh, I like this. This works. So seeing that, you know, experimenting with it. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, again, I think, for people listening, there's a couple of things there. One is box breathing is basically where you take a breath in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4. That's the sort of thing you mean by box breathing, isn't it? Yeah, and that's really just that's controlling your heart rate and your rhythm, and getting your body into a particular speed. A relaxed speed. And that can also be a feeling or a memory or an experience. You you tend to find that you get heightened awareness when you do box breathing, for example. So it brings you into a little area, whilst it relaxes you, also brings you into a little bit area of focus, extra focus. And I think what you're saying about being conscious and aware of your breath on the course is awesome. I mean, tell me what it feels like, because I love that big breath in, big breath out before you take a shot. Maybe even 2 of them if you're not quite ready. Tell us what that feels like, because that's so important on the course now.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're tensing up, you tend to just hold your breath and you just don't realize it. And when I'm nervous, I intentionally take a breath, either start box breathing or just take a big, inhale, exhale. I usually do it behind the ball when I'm lining up.
Yeah,
Take my exhale, lock in my target, see it, and then I walk up to the ball. And that's when I was like, okay, like this is good. I'm ready.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you say when you get nervous, I mean, there's some people will tell you that nerves are important and useful. Some people will tell you a little bit of anxiety is important, but it isn't really. What's important is you being under control, understanding your physiology, understanding when you're getting a little bit out of control, i.e., your pace or your rhythm of your heart has gone up. And we know that anxiety, for example, is basically the process of your old brain taking over. The fight and flight brain, and that raises heart rate, raises temperature, and it also switches off your new thinking brain. So that breathing is just so important. So I'm so glad that you're focusing on those things that I know Laurie talks about and you and I have talked about before. I'd really like you to do a little bit more meditation, but I think you've gone a long way down the road with your box breathing and the breathing on the course already, which is great. So
Mhm.
um, you've talked holistically about all of these things you do. You've talked very little about swing technique. Obviously, you're a good level and you've been a good level for a while, but how much do you think swing techniques comes into your preparation and process now compared to all the other things we just talked about?
Um, I mean, of course, technique is always important. Like my whole life, I played a big old draw. I'm not that tall, so I was taught to, swing at it into out and like, make that thing curve. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's how I grew up, and that's my habit. But the one thing about going that deep from into out, the misses are just a little unpredictable because it
yeah,
could be a push right
mm.
or a left big draw,
A big
and
swinger. Yeah,
just a big hook.
yeah,
And just when you're, on tour, let's say like week in, week out, that unpredictability is just not something we wanted. And, Lori is the one who's like, okay, let's move the plane just a little bit just to get you ready for the Indonesian games. And I said, okay, sure. Um, it it did its job. I mean, like, especially when I'm tired, I noticed like a long time ago, like I would go a lot more into out and I would just have those big old draws. And sometimes I don't want to say like I can't control it. It just goes a little bit too much left.
Mm.
So now like having my plane, more neutralized and playing either a straight ball or like a baby fade is just a lot easier in my head too, because it's like, okay, like currently if I miss, it's just a left shot. So it's like it's just there. So
Yeah.
before it'd be like there
Yeah.
or the other way. So I mean, right now, like I'm used to it, moving that way. It's just obviously 20 years I played from inside to out. So sometimes like it's just not as consistent as my draw. And we're just working on it,
Yeah.
just working on targeting and everything. Um, Again, like when it comes to technique, like we look at it, but I'm not trackman numbers. If you ask me what my numbers are, I will like no, can't
Yeah.
can't help you there, sir. Like
Yeah.
I don't know while either if we have a GC quad. The only thing I'm looking at is my carry distances before an event or like
Yeah.
spin rate or whatever.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're asking me my any no can't tell you. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I think you know your path, because your path was almost double figures, wasn't it? Your into out path at one stage was right up there, wasn't it? So
it
so
was.
those so basically what you're saying is there's lots of key statistics. I mean, you came back to spin. Carry distance has probably got to be the biggest one for you on everything.
Mhm.
And then your spin was important because, if you're swinging it and the wind's blowing and you're spinning it, it's going a long way the wrong way, isn't it?
Mhm.
But you've focused in on the things, the data points that are important to you, and those are the ones you'll check in with from time to time, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just like every other tournament if I need to see my numbers. I mean, my numbers don't change that much anyways,
No.
so it's okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, technique is important, but it's not my main focus
No.
because at the end of the day, I'm not thinking about I need to get this here 3 degrees, so
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
for you, it's a lot of feeling, but it's nice to have the data at the start of the season, and if you're making a change, see what it's done. So you don't have to look at it every day, but it's worth gathering it and dropping it in there and saying, "Oh, look what's happened there," And I think the other important thing, even the top pros that I used to speak to, and I used to say, "Are you interested in this?" They used to say to me, "Do you know what's important? The most important thing is that when I'm not playing well, I can come back to those numbers. So don't ignore them. Record them on a regular basis and compare them to the scores and your rating and your average scores. Because then I can come back and say, hey, listen, I was swinging, 4 degrees into out here. Or my, angle of attack was this or whatever. Let's see how we get back to that. So let's look at the video, let's look at the data and get back to that great swing that I used to have when I was performing. So there's lots of good reasons to keep your data as well, which we'll do as we go through the season. So wrapping up a couple of things. I think I think collecting all of your data this year, you've just started the process. One of the reasons I wanted to do this call with you is to see the difference between the call we do now and the call at the end of the season. All right, where we can perhaps find things that we didn't know about. I think that's important, having that baseline. So it's going to be lovely to talk to you in a few more months and say, right, did we find anything, and have we worked on anything that's going to help you? But from your perspective, tell us, give me a couple of things. Give me some advice for a youngster who's going to go down the path that you're going down, and then tell me what your goals are for this year on the tour.
Um, let's do the goals first.
Okay.
So before, the season started, me and, Coach Lori, like we sat down and we had great goals, and I'm not really far off those goals, those numbers, especially. The only thing is those numbers are not accurate to what the tour is right now.
Yeah.
So I think I need to, sit back down and, talk to him and see like, okay, like what should we do moving forward, and figuring out like what are the right goals considering we played 4 events now already, right?
Yeah.
So I think, this coming week or in a few weeks, we're just going to sit down and figure out, what are, maybe we need to tweak some things, so I think that's that. So I can't really tell you what my goals are
Yeah.
anymore because I need to a little bit.
and and
But
and
I
based on some of your, sorry Vic, maybe based on some of your feedback, one of the things we've done for coaches in our software now is we've created a goal setting process or questionnaire, and periodically we can send those goal setting questionnaires out to the player. Now they don't have to answer them as a questionnaire, they can think about them and discuss them with their coach, but it also saves the output from that goal setting process, so that they can pull those into the player profile and say, hey, look, our goals have changed from here to here. So that was based on your feedback around your goal setting. So that's great. I really understand that. So you're going to reset some of those because you think the world has moved a little bit. The goalposts have moved a little bit for you, haven't they?
Yeah, just like we set like an average scoring from last year's data, and that average scoring would have been top 20 in the money list.
Yep.
This year, that's like not there at all. So
Yep. Yep.
we just do, tweak little things to make sure like the numbers one are realistic to, what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And realistic to like the tour too,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's finish off with I've been teaching in Bali for the last 3 years at Bali National. Got lots of wonderful young juniors coming through. When Meva turns up on the range, it's all, oh, do you know who that is? Because you've been through the college system and whatever, so people look up to you in that process. So give a little bit back and give us, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 things, however many come into your head, of things that you would expect or pass on to players. I mean, can I give the first one and you give the other 2? How's that?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing, based on the conversation we've had today, is have a growth mindset. See everything as a challenge that can be defeated or improved. See everything as a beautiful, positive experience, even if it felt as if you crashed and burned. Have a growth mindset and take the positives out of it. That's the first one that I heard you say throughout this interview. So you gave it me earlier and I'm just giving it back to you. So give me a couple more.
One thing that is big for me, I think during college or even now, like it's not that deep. It's just golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think when you're in college, I think this is big when you're in college. When I was in college, especially, like I tied my identity to my score and how I was playing.
Yeah.
And it became really hard because if I'm not, in the top 4 of my team, like my score doesn't count. And, I don't want to say like I felt worthless, but it just felt like I'm not good enough. And
Yeah.
that was really hard to like learn, like it's okay. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be not that deep.
Yeah.
And
And in psychological terms, that's called craft and self. And it's making sure that you don't connect your craft and yourself.
mm-hmm.
Because you know, we all come home after a bad round of golf, and we all come home after a great round of golf, and we feel $1,000,000 when we've just won the monthly medal or whatever, and then we feel terrible when we've let ourselves down and finished 12th or 13th, you know, when we expected more. So you have to disconnect craft, which is my golf, and myself, which is my personality, my persona, and everything else. So cool. That's a good one. And the last one?
Mm. Last one. Let me think. Mm. Oh, be creative around the greens.
I
Like
love that.
junior, be creative around the greens because these days, I know what the culture is when it comes to going into college, recruiting. Like you
Yeah,
see all these juniors with their golf Instagram and everything, and all they post is just swing videos.
yeah,
Okay. Like, can you score?
yeah.
You know? And how well are you on the greens? And I think a lot of the times now it's like they just go, have a lesson, post it, and call it a day. But I don't see much creativity on the greens. Go play some match play with your friends. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like make it fun because golf is just not just swing. It's not just your numbers and your trackman numbers. It's just so much more than that. And I think they're not having, they're not capitalizing on being creative around the greens.
That's beautiful. That really is. That's a great way to finish. And I agree with you 100%. You know, just go out. Skill development is about experimentation, being prepared to fail,
Hmm.
making yourself look silly in front of your friends sometimes. I see so many
Yeah.
people shank one trying to hit a flop shot with a 56, and they'll throw the club back in their bag, and they won't come back out the clubhouse for an hour, you know. Go shank another one, or go shank another one, you know, until you get the feeling. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. So where can we find Meva on Instagram and things, and how can we stay connected with you as you're going on this journey?
Well, it's Mev Schmit on Instagram.
Two T's for Schmit?
One T.
Oh, one T. That's why you didn't get my email earlier on, because I think I added two T's. Awesome. Thanks, Mava. I'm really looking forward to maybe we do a mid-season check-in, and then we maybe do an end-of-season check-in. And you know, I've got goals as well to help you in the
Hmm.
background with your data analysis and things, and really hope that we get some success this year. So thank you very much. Good luck, and we'll chat soon. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Mava.